I want to thank Yeshe for agreeing to do this particular interview with the text program at the University of Arkansas.
그냥 도전한 날 라스라 딘데다 그냥 인터뷰 내라야 아니 어디 고급 중앙 도전한 날 라스 건지기 도림럽자당 아니 텍스트 프로그램 기 삽신.
We know that he is very busy and that I want him to know that we appreciate him making this sacrifice for us.
그냥 디즈베 캠브레스 다이네 도지체 에는 간절 디즈든 바토지나. He thanks you too. Just thank you, he said.
The first series of questions will be about his early life.
뒤와 당분주다 그냥 미세 총두 로 페이지로 다 총두 로 이슈네마 로 총화가 지긴 인사 당에만 별로요 이거 가지. 네 디즈가지 인사.
The first question, where were you born?
그냥 거기에서.
나 별라 만큼 겨울에서.
He was born in the Kham province of Tibet.
Does he know what year he was born in?
로가 디케레스.
지동구자 두주제고 진도고바 다르투.
1969 September 4th.
Okay.
두주 진도고바 다르투.
September 6th. Sorry.
Okay. And what year did he leave Tibet?
로가 뒤편에 솔레레스.
자갈래. 지동구주 굽주코니.
굽주코니. 1992.
Okay. So we got 23 years. Okay. What sort of education did he receive as a young boy?
While he was in Tibet? 별이들 롭종 징유에서 롭종다 롭자 멤버 있네 롭종 가린 거네 인데도 롭종 나뉘어있다 관에 있네
별라 편지가 되들로 주시 신사인데 제가 먼저 정박에 와더라 랍다저드나는 다와 뉴스지 랍다 치마인스 근데 대지라 로주도네 잡아체체는 그만나라 배의자야 되는 그만나라 잡아인스.
All right. So when he was around 14 years old, there was a school just down to his home, and he's been there for 7 months. And after that, at the age of 16, he became a monk, and he got his education from monastery till from there.
Okay. I'll come back to that. Brothers and sisters, does he have?
빙가 같이 있어.
빈자 부모들이 나라집에 부숨.
Yeah, 7 sisters and 2 brothers, including him. They have 10 siblings.
Are they still in Tibet?
그래서 단다 별이어레스.
별이어. 단다 좀 단다 다람살에 열에 단다 유럽에 열에서 만들이 열지 신바사마 별이어레스.
One is at Dharamsala, and he is the brother. Chujura, Dharamsala with
sister.
Okay, one sister is at Dharamsala and one sister at Europe, and the rest all are in Tibet.
And does he keep in touch with his family in Tibet?
낭미당 대화유에서 별로잉이 낭미당.
단다 가바다 위챗다 되는 저 딱바치기였어.
He has a very good contact with all of them in Tibet, and he talked to them through phone and mostly through WeChat.
저도 그저 구주 고고스 봐도 저춘이 주마스. 되네 가바다 봐선 저 되네 저춘.
Alright, till 1999 he couldn't talk to them at all because of the communications and everything were tough till then. But after that, due to some circumstances, or you can say everything got a bit lighter, and he could contact them through a lot of medias.
Since 1999?
Yeah, after 1999 he had a good chance to talk to them, but before that he didn't talk to them at all.
Did anything specific happen in 1999 to make that available, or?
지금 곱주고 오고는 그냥 고승님 계시에 중라야. 지금 곱주고 오고 찍던데 믹스지 중로에서 디제는 콘서트 인데다 계제시 야고 중에디.
나 지동 구조 곱주고 자장 Australia 당선.
No.
근데 Australia니 근데 거저 tinda 파सन 저 친이 배바 마모도. 거저 주체는 안 좋아요.
All right. In 1999, the Guru Monastery, Dharamsala, has sent him to Australia. They have a program there at Australia as well, like they have in Minnesota. So when he was sent there are a lot of Tibetans in Australia who came from Tibet. So from them, he got to know how they are connecting to the people in Tibet. So he got the idea from them, and that worked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, let me go back. Your mother and your father, are they still alive?
Pala amdana yorvis.
Pala nido jele chungso amala tanda yoris.
All right. His father passed away in 2008, but his mother is still there in Tibet.
His father passed away. Okay. And what did his father do for a living?
Pala ngima yudu leo harchoris.
Ale pala Shimba. 먼저 신가 첨부요. 신가지 안에 먼저 신가 당 조건념도라 발라레가 때와데 나라 신가리에.
His father was basically a farmer, but they had their own cows and kind of like nomadic life they had, but mostly they were based on farming.
Okay. And his mother, what did she do? She stayed at home or?
Amlaga jores, amla naal de gore yang lega tinde chikyo.
Amlaga jingare, ta kicheshi singada and pajuda, rada, loda, and the pasligare.
All right. So his mother helps out his father, so both of them are just based on their family business, or I mean, I should say just farming and just selling out all this milk or anything they get from their cows, or some just small business they have.
10 children, that's a big job. Okay. So you left Tibet in 1992, is that correct?
Yeah, 지금 이거 주고 인일 편에 표육산래라.
And you were born in Kham. So when do you remember seeing your first Chinese person?
아네, gam이 미당 뭐 당부 가지성스 로가 가지성스 딩기데.
당부데 먼저 나 젬바다부터 데도 다 모두도 중로와 모두도 시도도 kon 부서도 뭐 참마다 냥해지가 깨당서 데디도 버지 젬바는 데디래
로가 데라야.
저도 이제 든지 더랑 지리 든지 더랑 지리 다 세고 라임도.
Right. He doesn't remember exactly when is it, but he's saying it was around mid-70s, 1970s, that Mao Zedong died. And then after his death, all of the people, all the Chinese people, they gathered and they had a mourning ceremony for him. So at that time, he saw a mass population of Chinese.
Okay.
And that was the first time.
젬발리아도 가질래서는 뭐 잡아 무주도 무술란 다 부서 무도 말와 부서 죽대도 코도 참아 쳤게단 저도 무고를 난데
Okay, he remembered this thing very particularly because at that time, Chinese officials, they made everybody cry because the Mao Zedong died, and no matter like how they feel, but they were made to cry. And the kids at that time, they were not able to cry because they don't have any feeling, or they don't know who Mao Zedong was, and how, like they don't know well. So parents were just forcing them to cry for this. So this particular scene which he has seen that time, and that's why he remembered this very clearly.
Okay. And did he learn Chinese in Tibetan? I mean, in Tibet when he was there?
Gage jang bes phela yudu.
다 뒤 랍다 도디들 저희 야다 질러서 어느 가서 총반 나래 랍다 춘주 저들 자케지 저희 또 잠말했어.
He did learn Chinese a bit, and when he was in school, as I told you before, for like around 6 or 7 months, Chinese was taught very nicely. And after that, from his neighbors and some of his good friends, he had chance to learn Chinese a bit.
Okay.
먼저 총발래 랍다 저를 되나래 이게 빈자 밤을 랍다 밤은 코코당라 나 조촌이 조 약란도 다 약촌이 제데 나 콘조 뒤지 동바인도 콘조 슈르 주루야 근데 쟤네 총발 랍다 되나래야 로카시 자야라 좀.
All right. He wasn't sent to school by his parents, but his sister used to go, so he just used to just sneak behind her, and so he just got a glimpse of how they teach Chinese and all that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was 16 when he became a monk. He was born in 1969, so that would have been 1985. He became a monk.
Yeah.
Which monastery did he enter?
Phila komba khwal chires tangbo.
Tabo ngazo yulung ngazo lumba gomba lora gomba sa. Lora gomba. Dinanchis.
Well, first there was a small monastery at his place. It's called Lora Gomba, and I don't think it exists now, but he was enrolled in that.
Okay, and then where did he go after that?
Only chel khwadores.
Tenenga chitong guja gubju gobje ge penda chuni nale lasales.
Chidong gobju ge penda chungni re.
Penda chuni na.
Penda chungni la de pheba ga ji de.
Pheba de rigmara. Chinda niba dwajire.
Okay.
Gubju gobje ge chinda niba dwajire.
1998, around February, he first came to Lhasa.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
from Lore Monastery.
And which monastery in Lhasa?
Lhasa khwazires.
Tenenga lasale ne judo na zuwa. Lasa judo ramuche.
Yeah.
Judo ramuche le zu chene tanda gubju koni pade lasal devares.
From Maradi 1998 ra.
1998 yayo ane lasale judo ramuche.
Maradi geju gebge chagira. Chikdong gobge geju gebge ingira.
gubju gobje ngul la gubju gobje lasa. Jaji lade.
Mare gubju gobge les mare chikdong gobge gubju ngin kya halira. And the gubju gobge phela khwa chagira.
Ale jaju chabje nga yayo
It's 1988. It's 1988, yeah. Because this doesn't make sense.
1992 he came to India.
Yeah, he's just like God.
1988.
gubju jaju chabje.
Yeah.
Chabje.
So 1988 in Tibet, Lhasa, he got enrolled into Gyudu Ramoche Temple. It's one of the most auspicious Tibetan monastery in history.
And what's the name again? Gyuto
Gyudu Ramoche.
Rinpoche.
Ramoche. It's Ramoche. Yeah, you can spell like that.
Gyuto
And
Rinpoche.
the Gyudu, which we have here in India now, it's a branch of this,
Oh, yeah. And
which he is in right now.
okay, and Gyuto is in Dharamsala now.
Yeah, it's in Dharamsala.
Yeah.
And it's famously called Karma Temple because Karma stays there.
Oh, that's the one that's just below Dharamsala where the Karmapa
Yeah,
stays.
yeah.
We've been there a lot.
Yeah. So previously it was just known as Gyudu Monastery, but after Karmapa starts staying with them, it's majorly known as Karmapa Gompa.
Oh, Karmapa Gompa.
Yeah, Gompa. Gompa means monastery in Tibetan.
Right.
Yeah.
Gumpo?
No, it's Gonpa.
Gompa. Oh, yeah, I know that one.
Yeah.
Karmapa Gompa. Okay. Are there any other monks and nuns in his family, his brothers and sisters?
Ale kerangi pinganangla nang minangla kushoyores ani neta kushoyneta kerangi pingya.
Ane chiyores tanda lasale yes. Ane shemba puninja nale.
Kerangla chado.
Chenga chedre.
Among his sibling, only one elder sister. One of his elder sisters, she's a nun.
She's a nun
Yeah.
in Tibet.
Yeah.
Okay. I always ask this, question of all the monks and the nuns, and most of the time they don't want to answer it.
Okay.
But I'll ask it anyway.
Sure.
Why did he become a monk? Why did he want to become a monk?
Ale the diwa kerangi kushodang ani mangbula digyo lasra. In kaishegi na dogmindo las. Da ine diye lasra. In kerang kusho kajin chares kajin jeans.
Tade nga tambo jaju jitu ko jaju changa dbajile tene mozedu sheche tin shobi ge to su siju khoyan tamra ane siju khoyan tambare la dane yanjo kashi la
Ale siju goyan tang wala nta kunzu tesluluse wa la. Yeah.
odilada.
All right. Firstly, he's telling me this in a bit by bit. So firstly, he
Sure.
gave me a bit of information. After Mao Zedong died, the era of Ding Xiaobei came, the next Chinese Chinese representative. And from the era of Ding Xiaobei, everything got a bit lighter in Tibet. Like there were, what should I say, more kind of freedom, and like everything got a bit lighter. And then
Tene 지도 고자 자주 장아 드바지네 먼저 롬바가 건바야 나서 제가 고거 좀 말. 나서 라는데 취재. 딩을 팅와 코야다 다치 코야 좀 제초고 말. 다 딘데지 차디들 되니 먼저 정박 파스를 통부죠. 디강라. 아니 건조 라겐 같이 대도. 라겐 건조 초초도. 먼저 도 초초요. 초초도. 아니 그날에 나 아마게 트는 나 춘지 트서. 춘지도 많은 가서 원시 반대로 부 같이 되나 대샤. 건조도 라겐 전념도 칼라사. 초초 진도 호 대샤. 아니 나 소용 아니 나 아말레 나도 조고 요즘 라바인스.
Okay, so from mid-80s, 1985, after the era of Deng Xiaoping, they had the chance, the local monastery at their place, they had the chance to renovate their monastery to make it better. And before Deng Xiaoping's era, no one was allowed to have this Tibetan tenga braids, and no one was allowed to wear robe and anything. But after that, they were allowed to do everything which a Buddhist monk should wear, and then they were. So during that time, there were few monks from that monastery who were meditating at a cave or in a mountain place at a cave. So his mother took him there for some prayer, just to offer some prayer, and then at that time he saw some elder monks meditating there, and along with them he saw some of the kids with him, with those elder person. So he was so inspired, and he felt like I want to stay with them. So as soon as he got back home, he told his mother, I want to be like those kids and meditate with the elder persons. So his mother told him that in that case you have to be a monk. So he said, yeah, I want to become a monk.
How old was he when that happened?
Tini nansu lorwa, nansu lorwa, ta amada nganige, baba larwa, baba nadu goma, baba taba jual gabo yomar, baba taba jual gabo meba, the chulu gabo meba, the marini, the chupe yabuchir, in a korang roba, legajini gobors.
Okay. He was 16 years old that time, and so when he told this to his mother, she was okay, but his father was not okay, and he says right now that his father being not okay for this doesn't have anything to do with religion. He was himself a very religious person, but he wanted a boy with him to help, help on his chores.
Baba da amani koni zai jago dos, ngade dogi la ngade wajato, amag ngal jaju chigdo, ane baba mandola koni zai jago dos, ane zai jane nyama mambo ngosus, dan da mambo ngosus, da benji jinga ngosus, ane dine jine amada, amaga amajora, amaga amani nga tangor taba chegor lagora. ane baba nyinga mara jila baba ma de lumba shimba jile lama jizal moja ga chindwa moja ga chi mo yagudu la jini nga tambares.
All right, so after this event of him telling his mother that he wanted to become a monk, and his father saying his father being not okay, his mother and daddy, they had an argument on this. His father was firm that no, I don't want to send him to become a monk. I want my boys to be with me because I have a lot of chores and take care of all this farming and everything. But his mother and his mother's mother, his grandmother, they said like, no, he has to become a monk because these days we have very much good opportunity and we can do everything a monk should do, so he should be a monk. Then it took over 4 or 5 months of this feud between his family. But after this, in Tibetan we have this thing of, it's called prediction, like whenever we are going to do something, we do prediction. For example, if you want to buy a car, we do prediction saying that is it a good thing or not? And this prediction is usually done by a high Lama.
Right.
So his father went to a nearby town to a Lama to have this prediction that my son wants to become a monk, so it's going to be a good thing or not? And the Lama said, yeah, it is good. So then he came back and he agreed on this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. And so he became a monk.
Yeah.
Okay. The Tibetans who live in Kham were known to be some of the strongest resistors to the Chinese occupation. I'm thinking of people like Amma Adi, the elderly Tibetan woman, and some of the guerrilla fighters were in Kham, and I wonder if he has any memories of that or knowledge of that resistance as he was growing up.
Okay.
Just anything he has to say about that.
다 감라도 완전 변하네 미드스다 야미랑 오지긴 체슈지 지고라 그런게 근데 independent ama adidang anji gorilla fighter zu pejidang azu phöneda ngowejing shuk cheshu tunjugi khorangi example shastra and khorangi indalasta kunzu ta phöla pe ngogoi gyaraya and dende kerang dende mixe dende jik tingdu wesa da kham kerang khamne indu khamne injang
jidang phöla ngabjunga ru tbani phöla ngogi jade wadwa khande ma jabde yungdwa 마스는 다 작바도 지리도 작바도 지리 재미마가 두딘 징징이 지야 벽이 진 체도 마라가 당 암조는 건조 장도마도 마라도디 뉴스로요 마라 나 오늘 너데 라살라 단다 자주 저고고 벤저로 좀 공부 좋지 근데 자로 뭐 단다 너왜 시대진다 필로 모델라 니 진짜 손발라 손주 두르가라 라살레 니마 손 거기 제소 어디나 주어 되라
Okay, so he says that in 1989, when the year His Holiness was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and that year particularly the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded in December. So the following that year, next March, there should be in 1990, there was a huge revolution of all of the Tibetans were gathered in Lhasa, and that year even our Lama, Benchen Lama, the 10th the 10th Benchen Lama, even he died, and that year there was a massive revolution at Lhasa, so he participated in that, and during that time he was with all of the people from his Kham region. So at that time he saw how people are, working hard, and how much they have this zeal to show to the Chinese, and that was the one he remembered.
Oh, okay. So that was in Lhasa in March of 1990.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So why did he leave in 1992?
아니 지금 곱지 곱주 고인이 라이크랑 변에 가진 영어레스.
다들 저러지 자르무진지에 체도래. 아니 대직체 아니 디가라 워르네스 두고치도. 두고치는 거서 게다베 별로 시비치기 아니 자르무진지에 제제 두고치 쉬야체. 아니 저지다 별로 먼저지다 라무지는 주네 카티 심야면도 로조 뜻도 체요데 야나 체라지 체요 말이야. 근데 라이치 레베스.
In 1992, they heard this news that His Holiness is going to give Kala Chakra at Varanasi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kala Chakra, you must be knowing, it's one of the most auspicious prayer we Tibetan consider. Like, particularly this year, almost 7 or 8 lakhs of Tibetans were there in Bodh Gaya. So during 1992, in Tibet, they heard this news that His Holiness is going to have his Kala Chakra this year in Varanasi. So every Tibetan, of course, had this willingness to go there and to get blessing from His Holiness Dalai Lama. So during that year, that was his one reason to have his so much willingness to go to India. And the second reason was that he has never seen His Holiness till then. So he was having this in mind that I got to have a glimpse of him.
Okay.
And the third reason was, although in Gyudu Ramocha Temple Lhasa, they had a good education system for every monk. They have so many levels. They have so many levels, and they do have a good education system there. But of course, in India, with so much freedom and so many facilities, they have better education opportunities. So that was the third reason.
Okay.
So he made up his mind to come to India.
Okay. And if he could tell us, how he organized his trip over. I mean, how do you have to find a guide? You have to.
Sure. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Just have him explain to us that whole process of putting together the trip from Lhasa to India.
Canada Pune Galderwaya. In the Gangi Shujo rest, the meet the data, Council Nepal, the Suy on the meet in the Lao, the Leda, the Ladan and some more on the Shadas.
Tanzo Tambo, then Doya Tati Chetu, and the Suzuka Gigin Matashimasuju Laguyo Maris, and the Roba, Arapaich and the Tabani, and the Sum, and Suzuki Gigin Matasuji Laguyo Maris. And the Tati Chivala, and the page of the Somba de Ya. Nepalese Satsambadi, Somadora, and then the Jala, Yan Jala Tsongur, Jala Yu Katu Jala, Jala Nanjun Dora, and the Katu did 30 Chivas.
Yeah, so it's a long story, so we're gonna be telling bit by bit.
Good.
So first thing he said is, when anyone at that time decides that like I want to go to India, they cannot tell everybody, of course.
Right.
So he just told his teacher like in monastery, every monk are assigned under one teacher.
Right.
So he told his teacher, and he told 2 of his friends, those who are also from Kham. He told 3 of them that I want to go to India. So the first thing they have to do is they have to find merchants from Nepal, businessmen, small businessmen, or we should say just the ones who take stuffs from China to Nepal. They are just a transporter, we should say like transporter.
Yeah.
So they have to find some small businessman who has a huge, or what should I say, some massive stuffs to carry with them, because they have to go with those they have to go in those cartoons, or with, for example, if they are transporting their stuffs in a truck, so they have to be in that truck. So firstly, they had to find some businessmen or some merchants who had a load to carry to Nepal. So that was the first thing he did.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't use any Tanda Nepalina people Sasa Lera, and the Dalai, Nepalin to Unique, somebody to talk. Consul Pakura, and Consul Mayon did Yapojia, dear Mayapoji Majushi, Laja de Lea, Zitisha. That Mayapoji Matoji, Nepalina, Pug Satan, and Aras page of somebody there. Consul Corazon Better Lon Yebo, Lucas Tangira, or the Matuaj and Dawajis Goings.
Ale Consul made Kurgurilla, the Consul Hariku, so Sosingam the Dwera. Okay, so after successfully finding some businessmen with the loads, they reached the Tibet and Nepal border. Anyhow, they reached there. After reaching there, now what they need is they need a guide. They need a guide, a person to cross the Nepal's border and to get into the core Nepal. That is the capital of Nepal, Kathmandu. So from that border area to Kathmandu, they need a guide, because they don't have any compass or any Google map that time.
So they have to walk.
Of course they have to walk. So that walking part is, I personally think it's the most difficult part, and of course they need a very trustworthy person, an experienced guy. So to find that person, there are I have heard many incidents, and even he says right now that there are a lot of times when Tibetans reach that border part and they pay all their money to some person or for a guide, but they turn around, sometimes they didn't work. Sometimes they just they just dupe them and they go. So they were very much worried about this. So to find this guide, to find this trustworthy person, it took them almost a month and a half.
Dawaji Gum device. The name Yabuji Tuche, and the Koinam Dolangan to Lacha Teche, and Deba the Dawaji the Langazo Taba in Dondo Chiwama, Trasa, Tratosa, Tombanam Dola, Consoleka to Ropache, Tomba in Dondo Chidiris, and the name Yabuji Tuzan, so Nimachugu Combat Japche, and the Kathmandu lessons.
Alright, so then somehow luckily they found a guy. And he was trustworthy enough, so they paid their money to him, and he promised them that he will make them cross the border and reach Kathmandu. So with them, they started their journey, and during that time, they were not supposed to look like a monk. So he had his hairs and he wore clothes as a normal person, and they were acting like as if they are Nepali merchants, they are Nepali businessmen. So from that time, they started their journey, and it took exactly 19 days. And this information he didn't tell me right now, but he told me the other day that during that time, they had packed up. Of course, they know that they had to walk a long way, so they packed up their food and they packed up some eatable things for, like as much as they can carry. But it lasts almost just for 9 days, and after that they had a very hard time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
먼저 트니 모두 야부지 투샤스. 먼저 트니 되게 코란 나라 트이체 나라 니마지 흘려대 주 수부투주 근데 코란 신간에 근데 쇼코단데 담도 고 칼라소네 니마지 샤송스.
야, 코란 나운디 코란 나운딜리보다 니마 가져 거래.
남바도 니마 베지 구스 고와요. 고마전 니마 구체 니마 굿난 코란 리기도 니마지 코난 흘려지대. 근데 데니 제가 뭐도 야부지도 이따 가서 그 거기 주방에 말하고 춘 제마수 근데 가도 레지 먼저 재밍이 데스코에라 데서도 콜레지 부자로로 콜레 주라 어데서 뭐야 말 데서 라마수마도 셴바 라차들레 셴바 가서 배야부지했어.
Okay, so he says that the guide who took them from the border area to Kathmandu, he was a very good guy. So after the 9th day, when their foods were all done, all finished, luckily they reached at his house, the guide's house. Actually, I think the person's house is in between Kathmandu and the border area. So they reached at his house, and this guide took all of them to his own house, and he made all of them took bath, fresh up, and rest for a while. And then from his farm, he just from his farm he took all the vegetables and foods, and the person served him. The person served them, all of them, and that was so relaxing moment for them, because after so many days they had some place to rest and some place to eat something good. And so after that they continued their journey and they reached Kathmandu. Until then, the guy was the person who took care of them, and the person who he was very nice, he said. And at last they paid their final fees and say goodbye to that guy, but they had a last request to him to change some of the Chinese money they have, Chinese currency. They had not much of money, but they had few thousand of rupees, few thousand of Chinese money. So they gave him and said that could you please go and change this money into Nepali currency so that we could use them here. So that money he didn't give it back to them. He didn't turn around after that.
Okay.
He didn't come back at all. Okay. So that was the thing. But overall, he was a good guy.
Yeah. Okay. Who was his teacher in Lhasa? Just so I can get it on the record.
그런 Lhasa là cái gì mình học cái.
저 당그 나래 샤게 레로버 체니다 아니 드물라야다 데서르들 게 도자스.
네, 겐 도자.
근데 베제트니 게 다지. 고니제 다 고마 도자스.
He had two teachers actually. One was particularly for his education, and another was to teach him discipline and all that stuff. So the one to teach him the core texts of Buddhism was Gen Dorcha, and Shembadi Mingkhare Darge, and Dargil was the one to teach him the discipline part.
Are they still alive?
No, both of them passed away.
Everybody in America who is interested in this subject wants to know how much it costs a Tibetan to come into India. So if he could give us some kind of estimate of what kind of money he had to pay to do this.
다 아리라 벼바기 내줄라 도나이 미가셔 쇼라다 미가셔라니다 직 콘자 상메기 디와 디당거릴라스라 다 벼네 다 야갈용라다 디 두즈기 다 돔니 큰 돔니 조선 가세스토이나스
벼니 자가 봐도 용야래 용야래 간저 용들라
딱딱다 나와 말일라스라 직 롭제로 직
간저 용들라 저 춘주 자메 공무 십장갑 주대 간저 머리 디질라 다 니동 야인 드발레도 베도 동타 치치치 호도 같이 산산 다 도다로 당고라 안데 베도 다른 거 고고는 남들은 트고는 다 가르치고는 간지 가시 자메 공무 치고로 될수도 먼저 용들도 시장갑 주 콜라보르 데 제가 단다테 제가 콘조 푸는 야데 먼저 자갈 조차라 먼저 조차술라 되는 콘조신이 콜라보르티
네 제가 술라고 야디라네 당해줘라
당해줘라 총바줘라 콘야데
okay so he says that roughly it was around 450 Chinese currency.
Okay.
Yeah. So he said that they had a chain of I should say agents to send them to India. So the person at the border who handled all of them to a person who will take them forward gave him the half amount of money, and the half was to be paid at the end of the trip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pay half up front. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, what kind of food on that 19-day journey did they take? Sampa? I mean, what did they take?
아주 benje nyama juice pada saya kudur samba je marche chura kudur dikin dandu sus ane dejila ane nebali sal chulle chadi nebali masang khashil sakhan dena do ma chi jing anzo nebali yinga lesuna tendo ade ashon da anzo kira yo kira lona ya para tig mundo matena judo no khuyung yes.
So as I told you before, for around 9 days they were having enough food because they packed up a lot of zambas and all the things which they used to eat in Tibet. So after the 10th day, luckily they were already in Nepal. So there was few restaurants on the way, so they had the money so they could eat. But most of the time they had corn and cucumber from the farms, and they said there were some families who were good enough to give them whenever they asked, like, hey, we need some corn and this from your farm so we can have them. But there were a lot of families who denied, so they just go there and take them on their own.
ane kera da ashon da shoko namdo zora ta gemula de kera de ko zoye mdo kera ya de chud me charis.
So their main foods were corn, cucumber and potato. So among this in Tibet we used to have corn and we do have potato as well, but cucumber was the first thing they have seen in Nepal. So what they did, they boiled these three things together. They were not knowing that cucumber shouldn't be boiled at all. So when they boiled it, it all turned into water, and that was a funny thing, he said.
Okay. Where did they sleep at night?
네발리살 마 저요살 말레바도 포게 코디오스 네발리살 마 레디도 저 체사 말레도는 포게데 바 콘솔 마잔들 파티 근데 가시 칼라테도 칼리 가시 고문가 주스테도 코디네요스 근데 디니 포게 메바체 네발린 말레도 사 저치부도 시르 강에도 para 사간들 라고도 para 마잔들 얘기였어.
All right. So till they were in Nepal in their journey, they brought some blankets and quilts with them. So they used to just wrap them up and sleep wherever they can. But as they enter the Nepal region, the temperature, of course, raises, and then it was very much warmer, he said. So they were not no more in need of the blankets and the quilts. So they give them to the Nepali families and somewhere, and then after that their journey was quite smooth, he said. Just they could sleep in some of the Nepali families or wherever they sleep. It was warm, so there was no problem.
Okay. So they got to Kathmandu. How long did they stay in Kathmandu?
Kathmandu 가지 되랬어.
카트만두에 가서 담보 레니가 되래. 되게 저서 오죠. 말레니가 되래. 다나 표정을 내고도 어딜 깨서. 딜게도 어느 가서 레와다 저것도 되라. 그거 자단지도 잠바지 깨서. 한 잠바 야구도 사오든 바요는 사든 좀 좋은도. 한 잠바도 괜찮아. 깨지테면. 잠바도 주는 조금도 가지라도 그거 수화 잠바 때도.
수화 잠바는 가.
수화는 다 가리나. 수화는 네 많이 맞지.
알레레레 네 많이 맞아.
되게 잠바 때도. 주는만 조금도 가야는데 데리라도. 애들라도 더.
All right. So when they first reached Kathmandu, yeah, they were escorted to a house where Tibetan government has arranged them for a, what should we say that?
Like a refugee center?
Yeah, it wasn't a refugee center, but it was just a small office because that was, I think, the initial part when Tibetans started coming from Tibet. So they were not having a established office, but it was just a small, arrangement they made. So when they first arrived, they were served tea and samba. So, but they were so hungry and they just had it, but that samba wasn't going from their throat at all. So they were all surprised. Samba we used to have in Tibet. Why this samba is different? But they got to know that samba was not from wheat, which we usually have in Tibet. Right. Wheat or it was not from that. It was from a different kind, which is grown majorly in Nepal.
In Nepal.
Yeah, so that was the reason.
They couldn't swallow it.
Yeah, they couldn't swallow it at all. So that was a very funny thing. He said. All right. So after that they were they of course had an arrangement for them to sleep off at some place. So they were escorted there and they had a relaxing sleep. And from there they traveled to Varanasi and they had the blessings of His Holiness Dalai Lama there with Kala Chakra.
Okay.
Yeah.
When he got to Kathmandu, what kind of official papers did they give him? What do they receive? What does the Tibetan receive at that point when they're coming in?
Kathmandu jorwa 아니 다 군수기 다이랑 Kathmandu 데다라 니자도 되기라 이자 갈데슬스.
드디다 다나가 좀 다시 더틀리체. 근데 저런 가발 조기 랍자 조기가 타발 조기가 근데 보면은 안에 조기가 가발도 계시 되기라. 근데 지는 가서 근데 그말 조기 있어. 맞아 담보 만 지분 조기 라. 근데 대지라 안에 다람살레 차는 주들 조기 있어. 이제 얘기 주주진 주들치 말했어.
아니 이자지 때에다 벤처나 완수기 대장고도야. 엔디도.
아니 지때서 말이 내래 가랑 그대 까부죠.
알레.
대 까부죠. 어디나요다. 수수지지다네 가바두기메다 잡아있나 잡아마이나 잡아마이바 랍탄두기나 가바있는 되나요. 대 까부죠. 됐어.
They did not receive any official document during that time, but as soon as they reached Kathmandu, they were interviewed one by one, and during their interview, they were asked, "So, what you want to do in India? Where do you want to go? And what is your main motive of coming here?" So that they could arrange them accordingly.
Okay.
So during that time, he told them that I want to become a monk. So he was handled a white book. In that white booklet, they had everything written for him, the address where he should be going. And so firstly, he had this willingness. 그냥 지붕라 도긴도래 군수기 당하지.
먼저 담보 지붕 도긴라 터자라. 다람살레네. 아니 지 칼로 살론 좋아치.
So he and his group of his friends, they made up their mind first thing to go to the South India monastery. It's called Debung Monastery. It's in Mangut.
Right,
yeah. Debung Monastery. But first they told the interviewer that we want to go to Debung Monastery. But as soon as they reached Dharamsala, they I don't know, they changed their mind, he said, and they end up in Gudi Monastery. Yeah.
Okay. So they go to Kathmandu, they get this white booklet.
Yeah, white booklet.
Okay. They went to the Kala Chakra in Varanasi?
Varanasi 동안 이제 쉬러 와. 니마 가서 쉬래.
니마 듀스들이 쉬어야 돼.
쉬러 와. Yeah, they had the Kala Chakra there 7 days. They stayed in Varanasi.
And that was 1992.
지금 우리 곱죽원이라.
곱죽원이 그 찐다 니바 송바시나 간데나 된지 니부지래.
It was early 1992, he said, but he doesn't remember the exact day, exact month, but he's saying maybe February, March.
And that was the first time he saw the Dalai Lama?
Yeah.
Get him to tell me about that. What was that like?
And the did it how chances.
They did have the calorie. so something about Jinsu, somebody was not another trouble. And the Tibet, Jewish shoot, Tango Netani, we had to do somebody Jones.
At that time, when they first saw his Dalai Lama, and when they first got his glimpse of, and they felt like, oh, now it's worth it coming all the way from Tibet. And at that point, he felt like I've achieved what I always wanted.
Okay. So then, let's see, after the Kala Chakra in Varanasi, he went to Dharamsala?
Ani Varanasi jil Dharamsala chhorevelas. Yeah.
Okay. And he joined Gyuto Monastery.
And Gyuto Monastery jira. Hondi tanga ju Tenzin Gang. Yeah.
And that was in 1992?
Yeah, die ti nog bi gobju ngi dang ra sulede.
Gubju go
Tenzin Gang gadir.
Tenzin Gang Kwani no re, Tata Kwani Kadus in the Jina. Chi Tembushirago on the Kwani no re.
Okay. So he's saying he's not very sure about the year, but probably it was 1992 that he was enrolled into Gyuto Monastery, and Gyuto Monastery is in northeastern part of India. It's around 2,000 miles from Dharamsala.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was at a place called Tenzin Gang where I was born.
What's the name?
Yeah, it's Tenzin Gang.
And that's where you were born?
Yeah.
Tenzin
Yeah. Our village is named after His Holiness. His Holiness is Tenzin Gyatso.
Tenzin Gyatso.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tenzin Gang such a de Judo Guja Jaju Chasum Mar Tuju Jungle Muji Pay Tan, don't you do that the regiment of the Nijini, Kora Dombo Mishi, Sene Lumbati, Kundur Pinjuris, Kundur Pusha.
Yeah, this village where Gyuto Monastery was established, Tenzin Gang. Yeah, it's Gang. Gang, yeah. So this place, in around 1972, it was offered to His Holiness Dalai Lama by the native northeastern people there.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why it's named after him.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's way up high.
Yeah, because when you see that almost all of the Tibetan settlements mostly are in Karnataka and all of but that's a different one.
And so he became a monk at Gyuto in Tenzin Gang.
Yeah.
Aha. And when was that monastery established in Tenzin Gang?
Gyuto Tenzin Gang 가지고 있어래.
Tenzin Gang Dunju Judo Guja Delirisha. Dunju Judo Guja Jaju Chasum Botas. Dunju Tonga to do Papa.
Gone pure.
Dunju Tosan Dalosini.
Dalosini pure.
Dalosini.
Kumju Gosum.
Dunju Tosan.
Dunju Dosum.
Dunju Tosan La Papas.
Yeah. In 1973, the Gyuto Monastery, they from Dalai to Tenzin Gang, from Dalai to Tenzin Gang, they immigrated.
Oh.
It was firstly established in Dalai.
Where is that? What?
That's around one night from Himachal, one night from Dharamsala.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in Himachal Pradesh.
And what's the name of it?
It's Dalai, Dalhousie.
Oh, okay. Americans say Dalehousie.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's not. No, it's our fault.
Yeah, we say Dalhousie.
Yeah, Dalhousie. Yeah, I know where that is.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So it was
That
first in
helps.
Dalhousie,
Yeah.
and then they, I don't know what reason they had, but they,
Dunju Tosan.
yeah. So in 1973, they immigrated to Tenzin Gang.
Okay. Okay.
I shouldn't say immigrated. They just,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. And Tibetans who live in India have, they used to have, I don't know if they still do, a yellow, ID card.
Yeah, ID certificate. We do have still.
Okay. When did he get that?
Leo, and I see Gadiras.
I see the
I see the I think on the
They say what they are.
they're still there.
This able to say the Mandok so mari Tatang Sur. The Gubju Godu Lola, Australia Chamber. Did you pay Tambu Tamar? Or did you so Santos? Did you ask?
So that yellow book is considered like a passport for us Tibetan.
Right.
So in 1996, Gyuto Monastery, they had a program in Australia, and among the monks who were going to Australia, he was one of them. So at that time, he got this yellow book.
Okay.
Yeah, 1996.
And he went to Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. Why was he chosen to go to Australia?
And manzu namgi adil da chige tangdu kusho damgoraya. And that taas tang shaw maraya. And kerang kashin dam relas.
다들 먼저 자장게 치제 다야데 배 도담부 요리스. 아니 죽제 창상 트레이닝들라 차시 줘야스. 차시. 아니 라고 야고요라. 라고 야보다 루모다 근데 야고 연예들라 차지 요리스. 아니 춘이 라고 야보 메와지 죽제 마트야지 괜찮아. 아니 야스 또 어디 김바찬 차지 요리스. 근데 쟤는 나한테 차시 나니 디자인 담바리스.
So in Gyudu Monastery, they have a system for monks to be sent abroad. They have a whole rule for that. So their rule, as he described, in 3 types. So the first rule was those monks who has finished all of their studies successfully, who has graduated all the levels they have 4 chance to go to abroad. 4 chance, or that 4 chance could be anywhere in abroad. 4 chance they have. And the next level is those monks, although who hasn't finished their whole of studies, but those who are very good in mandala, or those who are very good in butter sculptures and everything, they have a chance to go 1 time. And then now the 3rd category is those monks who hasn't finished their studies and who don't have any skills, very good skill, but they still have a chance to go to abroad once, and that is when they get old. They get older. But his was in first category.
First category.
Yeah.
Finished his studies.
Yeah, finished his studies, and on the top of that, he was very good in he was very good in mandala. And he is very good in butter sculptures as well. He can make some beautiful.
Okay. Yeah. So he went to Australia in 1996.
Yeah, 1996.
그리고 1996 도디들은 완전 다 섬대했어. 아니 지라
Australia lumba 하루래?
멜번, 시드니 단도라 다 섬대했어. 근데 디지라가 자벨란다 니수 데임바. 디지라 싱가포르는 다 이제까지 돼 섬대서.
어디 배 무튼데?
말해. 데 질라. 다 로직스 질라.
아네.
근데 디질라야 니도 고주 고글로리아 오스트레일리아 타서. 디딩아 디지리지도 오스트레일리아니스 데이스.
아네. So in 1996 when he went to Australia, he was just there for 3 months.
Okay.
After that, he went back to India and he did, Japan did 가더래? Yeah. So just after 1 year, just after 1.5 year, in 1998, he had a chance to go to Japan. Then he come back again, and right after again another year, he went to Singapore.
Wow.
And then he came back, and in 1999 he went to Australia the 2nd time.
Okay.
And at that time he stayed there for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Australia for the 2nd time.
Yeah.
2001 comes back to India.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me add, when did he come to America for the first time?
Adil gadil.
니도 죽지게 진짜 dimba.
니도 죽지 진짜 dimba라. July 2011.
Oh, okay. And did he travel anywhere else?
In the United States?
No, between 2001 when he returned from Australia and from the time he came to America in 2011.
Australian Lora.
10-year period.
Australian Lora. Only childa tuzu gyurung bushto. Lo chus dil khader.
Australia gubju godul Australia tora. Ale nido dini nido gubju koguni Australia chule ne de paradra. De paradele tani gubju koguni de parad peje de tanga ore de paradel dor. Peyula nebali la pora la gigen tanso gigen lo ni de. Kathmandu la gigen chen lo ni de.
Ondi khadure lo
gubju ko nga mare nido nga tru du je. Pora la lo ni Kathmandu lu gombachur na lo ni de judo gita yala da.
Yeah, from 2004 to 2008 he went to Nepal. And for 2 years he was in Pokhara as a teacher, and another 2 years he was in Kathmandu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then he came back to India again.
Okay. And then to America?
Yeah.
2011.
Teacher la arilera.
네 베일 카드마도 데도 니도 제레 네 자나레데 올로베 초사 어 데도 네 재미 땅골이야 좀 심바저시가 네 닝골라 베일 도야 체도 베일니 로솜 재미 쇼절 바스슈임바 근데 라마소 아니 니도 제레 아니 거 라마소 마라딜 다 제리 쇼나 라가마와 아니 나 재미 쇼절 딜 올로베 초야 그 된다는 거기 저 마우도다 된냥도 따와도 샤인스 사베만이마 공시여라.
So he just added some information on this. Yeah. So when he was in Nepal, generally a lot of Tibetans apply for visa to go to China from Nepal. So they have a good chance to. We have a good chance to get visa from there. So even he applied. He applied and he tried many times, but he didn't get. So 2008 there was this Beijing Olympics. So after the Olympics game, everybody made up their mind that we don't have any chance to get in to get a visa, because Tibetans all over the world, they had a massive revelation, and there were a lot of banners and captions you must have seen. So everybody had this in mind that after this event we will be not getting visa for a long time. Until then he didn't get. That's why whenever there was any event or any camping in Nepal against the Chinese embassy, he always participated in those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Tibetans felt that they would not be able to get a visa to go back to China.
Yeah. He was very much willing to go to Tibet once to see his mother.
Right. Okay. And he took part in those.
Yeah, all of the campings which were held in Nepal, he took part, because previously we had this in our mind, all of the Tibetans, that whenever we go for a visa in Chinese embassy, they will show us pictures saying that you were in a camping, so we won't get it. So we hesitate to participate because of this, thinking that we'll never get a chance to go to Tibet. But after that, he thought that, okay, now I'm never gonna get a visa,
So
of course, so I'm gonna take part in every camping I can.
Okay, all right. Okay, so comes to America in 2011. That was the same year that His Holiness decided to step down from being the sort of
Political.
political head. What were his feelings about that?
Ni don't chukchi kang aril le raya. Ni don't chukchi la kong sa cho ki da nga sidung gi thola. Di che ji mes ma babra. Ni kang so han de jong sas.
Ta de de zo ji beba je zo na lo la de salon tang ke da bo de ma nu ma to khan ni da jo re.
Je.
shema ma bu ji ge ta jang ru mu ji chu cho ran na na ya bo du si cho de 지 월만 더바 가야지 나는 야보도 신이 같이 요래서 야 같이 그다 추도 신인자 장그로지 랑게 나나 아는 안줄로 대완도 이치치완도 배치나 ninja 그래가지 자고 요래서 얘네 장그로지를 네 거저 상추만 튀게 되서게 대바 매바다 이치메 받자 아니는 말이에요 얘네 다도 월 그 시디오 리가 레디들 바라바라 잡고 제스기를 바라바라 죄방에 봐 제구요 시기를 근데 그거 매상 딕시요래서 담들라
and kerang khadinang yore la orda bhadri.
아니 그지셔.
Okay, so he said first he wants to give an overview on this topic. So he said that when His Holiness Dalai Lama decided to step down from the political responsibilities, during that time among the Tibetans there are two categories of people. One category, they believe that it is a very good decision from him because we want him to be just as a religious leader, so that he couldn't get involved in any of this, messy political things. And then in the world of politics, there are a lot of times when he has to indulge in a lot of low level. So that's one category. And another category believes that His Holinesses are everything, and the Dalai Lama should be the political and the religious leader. So he just said there are two categories first. Now he's going to add his own opinion on this.
Pebazo semzo shira chevares, penalo chevares, pechuloni chevares, and the jila, Janguruji Taji Taman Tsane, Yanja, and Pememangi, Chitulenzo, Peshunga, the Janguruji Yanju Mutin and Naruj Shuvares. And they should the Janguruji say, Tama Nandu, the Taman Lord Debuche, not to do the deny the Janguruji, one tane, Puja Jimbugu, Tusan Shich, and the deny the big Shibujika Samboda, and Pemba Shibuji Pento Yovada.
Yeah, so he said he was in the first category. He believed that His Holiness should be just our religious leader. He shouldn't indulge in any of the political things. So he was very much relaxed and happy for this decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now a political question. The text program has talked to, Tibetan activists like Tenzin Sindhu, who stands very much for
Tibetan cause.
Yeah, and even more specifically, the independence of Tibet. The Dalai Lama, on the other hand, has argued for what he calls the middle way, which would give Tibet what he calls autonomy within China. They would be able to practice their religion, practice their own educational principles. And what we have found is that the monastic community will typically agree with the Dalai Lama. And many of the people who live, outside the monastic community, or not monks or nuns, agree with the idea of independence for Tibet and not autonomy. What is his reaction to that conversation? If he is not comfortable with an opinion, that's okay. I just want to know what his reaction is.
That Sidney Burris and the Koran Zola the Gagala doing the text program University of Arkansas text program given and Koran Gagal doing me Mambujilla interview Jacob Jones and Tenzin Sindhu interview Chiwains. The Tenzin Sindhu Chachana Koran Rangzen Gola and Gonsto Umelam Gola Umelam the Umelam Gita Gonzola the Lamdi Tunangorada. The Dindre into Koran Gita Dang Genera. 간주기 아니당 구쇼여라 된저 망책임인데 공사초당 다 미투스 양직 멤버다 공부이 치료 믿으서라 된저기 양직 랑제 장막이 직다 된저직다 남시로 직 샤이도스 계란기다 다디 삼지 가린스 이건
지다데 산지 때때서 용되는데 공부 치료다 나로 쳐봐 말했어 들 콜라 자종 그 신주 체마치진 대단하다 간 심벌했어. 가시야 센서 잡고요. 세슈 첨부지 센서 잡고 여기 돈이 가지 두고요. 그랬어. 먼저 도서 다데데 먼저 라제 자마 고거 봐. 무슨 있나 라제 자마 먼저 그 수주요 말. 자르무제 라제 자마 되고요. 그랬어. 수 있네. 다다 표정고 고 표정이 손에 다파디 참말라 라제 자마 되고요. 그랬어. 이내 라제 자마 Zed levala ko chapshi gogure danashi niba gogure benjo gogure lobjong gogure danashi tinde tabjo jesa sacha ja goguro tinde 그 자종 림보 저 상당히 먼저데 장군은 제 칼로나 집부 말에 상수수 신주 제대가 있는 펜체 용매면 거라고 저래서 다 다른 장군은 저그 오멜람 돼야 돼 장군은 저 고체 델레 고체 딜 kabla pa biology tinde keje ji sheje biology tinde shutuna sabi mu gembarida biology shunye rido chama grewa tewa de jigres
an kerangida umelam dira so he firstly he said that he doesn't agree with you totally on this notion that monastics monks and nuns have this opinion of it, middle way approach, and like the outer people or the non-monastic have this independence. He said he doesn't totally agree with you on this. He said the most important reason and the most crucial part is having to do your own background check on any of this approach. For example, the middle way approach, we need to understand what middle way approach is. Like, we need to understand it practically, and also we need to see all the reason behind the independence as well. So he said not only the teachings from His Holiness Dalai Lama, he has read many books on the middle way approach. So in a pragmatic view, in a practical view, now to have one's own country, it's not a, it's not a
realistic.
Yeah, we have to have a very hardcore system of education. We have to have a perfect army. We have to have everything in a very what should I say, in a very organized system. So these, considering all of this factor, he's saying it is very much practical to go with middle way approach, and that's why. And he says he has to add some more views on this.
Okay.
And you get to it.
Okay. Tanda pena anzo ranze tabju chenye de tanda talongam ju tuju chinzar denale ke chuyo. Tini dejila la yanjo lo jasi ji gugu yena de gusa sacha ji goguro. Sacha khona tembo yomares. Tanda anzo umela se ya de jangurum ji kuchi de ring de la taji ji chun pa kundu dendi shuye che ta shiji nyangzo yungya che ta peyo ge chu da re shong nyangso che ya yuwa ji chuna che ta re ten de de jik de res. Te mayin ba che ne rangze zugi chen tanda lo ngab chu chu che de gu chuna jangurum che ta halen da lo ni shu ji chunga ji ma to shugu marwa. De ji la ane jami penjo metuni ya ji ching res. ane jami penjo metuni ya ji ching de tu sa zambul yongzo penjo ga kawa sha sha res. De ane ngazo rangze che sa ge sa cha ra ga ma res. ane ngazo rishon jinzi che pa chu da rishon jinzi che pa sha mu kora thot res. De ge nega de le res.
He says that getting in full independence of a country is a very long-term project. For example, India took 200 years to get full independence under British. So he said it's a long-term goal. It'll of course take a lot of time. And he said we Tibetans, whatever we are, it's all because of His Holiness Dalai Lama. And he is already 82 years old now. So he said that following middle way approach will be definitely a practical approach for now, considering his age, considering our present condition right now. And he also said that Chinese is growing economically, and in every field they are growing so much. And these days in this world, economic plays a crucial role. For example, even if we have to buy a nuclear power or anything, money comes into picture. So he said that our struggle for independence will get harder and harder. It won't get any easier with the coming years. That's why following middle way approach is the most practical way, he thinks.
Okay. Okay. Last question.
Yeah, sure.
What are his hopes for the future of Tibet and the Tibetan people, wherever they live?
And Karangida, Rewa Karius Pedangda, Wanzo Pimimangura, some Niyonzola, and Dilikan Rewa Karius.
Chidandanga ge those so Kalanyon Sodo, Shubayna, that bird da Jimon Bale, to Umelang Tony, Timishivelani, Umelang Tony, Jaja Jatavachin to get some Yichitamboyos. Kaisana, Jangurum Jiggy, Jangurum Gumba Nalo, Panji Dictasuna, Penji Dudron of Jores, in a Tusu Bone Congress, in a Della Donation Chibuchagores. 근데 제가 이나 펜체주다 장군무지 납중하고는 수페네 손에 단다바다 라브라레 예차레 베바게네 땅 베조게네 땅레 롭종게네 땅레 근데 카레 참마데 장군무지 공부하는 방도와 나시 제네 단다 로디오레스 단다 오멜란데 텐데 자자자타마치 로게르선비 이치 때문이에요 어들라데 지지라
he says that definitely the middle way approach will work out someday. And this approach was initiated by His Holiness Dalai Lama, and he said we could see many of his work as an example. For example, the establishment of Tibetan schools was one of his first projects,
Right.
and that worked out so well. And lot of other, having Central Tibetan Administration in Dharamsala was his another project, and getting a lot of scholarships for Tibetan students, and lot of other examples of his work so far have been so organized, so well. That's why he believed that this middle way approach will also work out in some amount of time. But he says, as this is not just a simple project, this is a massive thing. That's why it's going to take time, but he really believes that it'll work out.
Okay. One more question. The Dalai Lama said recently that whether or not his reincarnation is located or found is a decision the Tibetan people will make. What does he think about that?
Gonsoida ngarangi yangsi le malejora ni yangsi da chumale malejora ondida pewaminzu peminzu lagwarelan ngeja 송요레스. 더 디가 그런 서가리에서.
장군은 저기 소냐 때와데 가르송 거잖아. 단다바도 가데본도 중에 좀 단다바도 자구주 주시 봐도 베베레 다까지 배도 같이 중요해. 근데 그 고고 요매 배발이 계속 그랬어. 다 배매마가 단다데 당가 지야가 고까지 나봐 있는데 배매마가 고라 그러면도 먹고 자니 송고 말했어. 이나 당한서 네바 메타 다부 자투고 요매 냐투고 요매 단다이나 자미레 근데 되게 배바 다 뭐라서 전조 나로 전조 종 나로 신주 체네 배삭 주지 신주 체체네 주시 마부지 리기 그랬어. 그 가르치는 자나 종 누바 주요 그랬어. 근데 그 돈은 아주 다부 자투고 요매 가시마도 배바 배마가 가시나 고세 그랬어. 다 딜리까지 채워 자원이 요 말했어. 그 뒤이나 다 지가로 꾸지 담보니 꾸지 주시 봐도 디게 가절래 네 계장 걸어 제살에 자요 말했어. 그 먹을 라고 말했어. 이는 아주 다부 제투야 그 누바 가시지 주요메 다부 제투고 요메 다들 먼저 하고 만들었어.
So this is the 14th Dalai Lama, and we had from 1 to 13 Dalai Lama in Tibet. Until now, all we hear about their work is every development we had so far in Tibet. So he says that if Tibetans are given a chance to choose the reincarnation of His Holiness Dalai Lama, definitely we will be so blessed to choose one. We will be so blessed to say yes to that. But he says, as China is growing economically, politically, we can see recently a lot of influence in our small Tibetan administration, Central Tibetan administration system itself. Not only in our government officially, but gradually Chinese are influencing the Tibetans all over the world. He believes that they have many strategies going on in their mind, or they might have to, have any kind of destruction in near future. So he said that it will be so much blessing for us to say yes to his incarnation, but still we have this fear and we are not so confident to say that we can take care of the reincarnation Dalai Lama. He said we are not so powerful enough to say confidently that we can take care of His Holiness Dalai Lama, the next Dalai Lama.
Okay.
폐기 요와데 제레즈 담자레스. 제레즈 코나 니제 글라송자 Nyanta Kawaraji Duna, dig Nyanta Kawaraji, Nyanta Kawaraji, Pentoya Kawaraji, Kogo Kaba, Pentoya, Kogo Kaba Duna, de Pegoya, Jiri the Korak Tangeris. Pe Jajatama Pegis. And then Inata, Manzo, Jangun, Jiri the Guti, the Gapakaji Pegumari, Tanda Penaguti, the Guti Jushipak, Chalina, Shanjo, de Ta Joya Ge, Leda Gawa, Yona, and Pegis. That the Ta Joya Ge, Leda Gawa, Yomi said, Memang, Per Memang, Tansi Teba Ralegra, and the Tansi Teba Tanda Hansa Yaboyores, Jajata.
He said, we believe that the Dalai Lama is in the form of Chenresik. That's the God of kindness. So he said that wherever there will be a need of him, wherever there will be poverty, wherever there will be thing, he will definitely come in the form of reincarnation. That's his promise. As we call it Damja in Tibetan. That's an oath taken by the God of kindness that wherever there's a need of my work in any of the condition, I'll be there. And he said that, of course, the kindness of God will be having this willingness to come in a reincarnation form, but it also depends on our fortune, our Tibetans' fortune, and our our belief in religion, and these are the also factor which will contribute in reincarnation, and which will all result in the reincarnation of the next Dalai Lama. And he said, in this view, we Tibetans still have a huge belief, and we still are so much devoted to our gods. That's why he believed that will definitely, this reincarnation will definitely happen.
Wow. Okay.
And Inga Chiglaya. He says, if you have any other question, you can ask.
How much longer will he be in America?
Jidangade Adreline, do Juju Lerwa, do Juju Leje, Tadabade, Gold Royade, Matupunale, Genjor, Gen the Logu Kudus, and the Congo, Lokashiji, Robert Cherochu Labche, Yichach Shores, and Yichad the Shudan to Tata Matubata, and the Norder of Chan, the Legion Quarters, and Yichad the Rane, Jagal Pats and Rocha Chasuna, and Jagal Pandro, Tazange, Yanjitsu Rochilan Tsumere.
He said right now he's not so confirmed about how long he's gonna stay. There's a monk in Minnesota. He is 96 years old, and he is the monk's favorite student, and he wants him in the United States. So he had an official request to the state, to the U.S. I should say Home Security or something, to make him stay in the United States, and this process is still going on, and he's not sure, very much sure how it's working right now. So he says that as soon as there will be any confirmation, there will be two options: firstly, to stay here or to go back to India. And he says he's good with any of this. Yeah.
Does he have a green card?
Green card here.
Yeah,
that green card he's not having right now. So
that's
in this, that's what he's trying to get, and it's still under process. Yeah. Yeah, and the Guru monastery in India told him that so as the 96-year-old monk in Minnesota is willing you to have there, we don't have any objection for that, but try to get this document work out, and if this work out, and if you get a good, if you get a green card, then we will see that you will be there or you'll be coming here, and that is under process right now.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I think we have been talking for a long time, so thank you very much for your time. The University of Arkansas appreciates what you have done for us, and we hope that if we can help you in any way, we will be happy to do so in the future, and we'd love to have you come to Arkansas at any time.
And Canada, 아니 다 완중원에 더 터림럽정 원이 투진나 쉐인스 완중원에 그냥 가리 로버지토에 그냥 다 완중 로버지토에나 송쇼스 로버지오스 아니 아르겐살라 연교다 제마 연교 거네쇼스
어떠세요? 내가데 기실라 완중원시네 너무 차차래네 기실라 코노 빼야 보여 근데 전 다리데 둔다니 세질래 지당아 메뉴서터 내가 마음이 쉬우지레스 내가 마음이 쉬우요래 근데 갈리베 카돌로니 som제 도스 파즈 이자 야보 메지 파즈 로토마송스 근데 배 갈리잠 데데 근데 도스를 제체도 디쇼라한데 레바이 다리 둔다니 별로 야보 쉬우지주 맞아 뭐지바니 바도스지 배치우주 터치나스
Yeah, he said he had a wonderful time here in Arkansas, and Geshe-la, he's been very good to him. And he said that they have a very busy schedule in Minnesota, so they hardly get time to sit down there. But here he had a whole vacation sort of thing, and he said the most important reason for this vacation was to meet all of the Geshe-la's friends and all of them. And he said, here I met wonderful, amazing people, and I'll never forget it, and I'll try my best to come here again.
Good. We'd love to have him back.
Yeah, and 그냥 연결원의 영향 안 yes.
And maybe when he comes back, he can get a driver's license, and he can drive my black broken Jeep.
All right. And he can the driver license 라와지 shoes, and he 모두 당 shoes.
근데 다들 다들 저 로사마들이 계주들이 제 근데도스 아게살 라달을 배버칠래 배가부 좋아하는 데리데미 계주배면서 하고 제스 도치나스도스.
Okay, and then right now he's just thanking me. He said that he's very glad that a Tibetan student is here, and he said today we had a wonderful interview, and then he said thank you to you, thank you to Craig.
What's his full name? Yeshe
Topgyal.
Yeshe Topgyal.
Oh, Topgyal. That's
Yeah.
right.
T-O-P
P-O-P
G-Y-A-L.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that was a good one.